Langchain groq chat models. Description: explain in detail. Langchain groq chat models are a specialized type of language model that leverages the groq tensor processing unit (TPU) for accelerated inference and training. These models are designed for efficient and high-performance processing of natural language tasks, particularly those involving large amounts of data and complex computations. groq TPUs are known for their ability to handle matrix operations and parallel processing, making them well suited for language models. Inputs. Input 1. Explain in detail. Text prompts or questions are the primary input to the Langchain groq chat model. These inputs can be in the form of natural language sentences or paragraphs, and they provide the context for the model's responses. Input 2. Explain in detail. Contextual information can be provided as an additional input to the model, influencing its understanding of the prompt and enhancing the quality of the generated responses. This might include relevant background knowledge, previous conversations, or specific instructions. Outputs. Output 1. Explain in detail. The model generates natural language text as its primary output, responding to the input prompts or questions in a coherent and informative manner. This output can include answers, summaries, stories, code, translations, or any other text-based task depending on the model's training and capabilities. Output 2. Explain in detail. Confidence scores or probabilities associated with the generated outputs can be provided, indicating the model's certainty in its responses. This can be helpful for users to understand the reliability of the model's output and to make informed decisions based on its predictions. Steps. Step 1. Explain in detail. The input text is first processed by a tokenization step, where it is broken down into individual words or subword units tokens. These tokens are then converted into numerical representations that can be understood by the model. Step 2. Explain in detail. The numerical representation of the input is then fed into the groq TPU, where the model performs its computations. The groq TPU's parallel processing capabilities allow for efficient and high-speed inference, enabling the model to generate outputs quickly. Metrics. Metric 1. Explain in detail. The perplexity metric is commonly used to evaluate the quality of language models. It measures the model's ability to predict the next word in a sequence, with lower perplexity indicating better performance. Metric 2. Explain in detail. The Blue Bilingual Evaluation Understudy Score is a metric used to evaluate the quality of machine translation outputs. It compares the generated translation to human-produced references, measuring the similarity in word order and content. Visualization plots. Visualization plot 1. Explain in detail. Attention visualizations can be used to understand the model's internal workings. These plots show the weights assigned to different tokens in the input and output sequences, revealing the model's focus and relationships between words. Visualization plot 2. Explain in detail. Loss curves can be plotted during training to monitor the model's progress. These plots show the decrease in loss over time, indicating the model's ability to learn from the training data and improve its performance. Fine-tune parameters. Parameter 1. Explain in detail. Learning rate is a crucial parameter that controls the step size taken during the model's optimization process. A higher learning rate can lead to faster convergence but may result in overshooting the optimal solution. A lower learning rate can lead to slower convergence but may be more stable and avoid local minima. Parameter 2. Explain in detail. Batch size refers to the number of training examples processed in a single iteration. Larger batch sizes can lead to faster training but may require more memory. Smaller batch sizes can be more efficient in terms of memory usage but may require more iterations. To converge. Uncertainty methods. Uncertainty method 1. Explain in detail. Monte Carlo dropout can be used to estimate the model's uncertainty by randomly dropping out neurons during inference. The resulting outputs are then averaged to obtain a prediction with associated uncertainty. Uncertainty method 2. Explain in detail. Temperature scaling is a technique that adjusts the model's output probabilities by scaling them with a temperature parameter. This allows for exploring different levels of confidence and uncertainty in the model's predictions. Challenges and fixes. Challenge 1. Explain in detail. Overfitting the model may perform well on the training data but fail to generalize to unseen data. This can occur when the model learns the training data too well and becomes overly specific to its patterns. Sample use case that resulted in challenge 1. The model may generate accurate responses to specific prompts it has seen during training but fail to provide meaningful outputs for similar but slightly different prompts. Fixes to challenge 1. Regularization techniques, such as dropout and weight decay, can be used to prevent overfitting by adding penalties to complex model weights. Early stopping can be used to prevent overfitting by stopping training before the model starts to memorize the training data. Data augmentation can be used to increase the size and diversity of the training data, reducing the model's reliance on specific training examples. Challenge 2. Explain in detail bias and fairness. The model may exhibit biases present in training data. This can lead to unfair or discriminatory outputs, reflecting the biases present in the data used for training. Sample use case that resulted in challenge 2. The model may generate biased or insensitive responses, reflecting prejudices present in the training data. Fixes to challenge 2. Pre-processing the training data to remove or mitigate biases, such as using techniques like debiasing algorithms or filtering sensitive information. Carefully selecting training data to ensure it represents a diverse range of perspectives and experiences. Employing techniques like adversarial training to explicitly penalize the model for generating biased outputs. Langchain groq chat models. Chat groq. Description. Explain in detail. Chat groq is a large language model designed specifically for use within the groq ecosystem. It leverages groq's specialized hardware to accelerate both training and inference, enabling efficient and performant conversational AI applications. Inputs. Input 1. Explain in detail. Textual input. This can be in the form of a prompt, question, or conversational turn. Input 2. Explain in detail. Contextual information. This can include previous conversation turns, relevant documents, or other background information. Outputs. Output 1. Explain in detail. Generated text response. This output is the model's response to the provided input, crafted to be relevant, informative, and conversational. Output 2. Explain in detail. Confidence scores. The model may output confidence scores associated with its generated response. These scores can indicate the model's certainty about the generated text. Steps. Step 1. Explain in detail. Tokenization. The input text is broken down into individual tokens, which are the building blocks for the model's processing. Step 2. Explain in detail. Embedding. Each token is transformed into a numerical representation, capturing its semantic meaning. Step 3. Explain in detail. Model execution. The model processes the embedded tokens using groq's specialized hardware, generating a probability distribution over possible outputs. Step 4. Explain in detail. Decoding. The model selects the most likely output sequence based on the probability distribution, resulting in the generated text response. Metrics. Metric 1. Explain in detail perplexity. Measures the model's ability to predict the next token in a sequence. Metric 2. Explain in detail blue bilingual evaluation understudy score. Evaluates the quality of machine translation outputs by comparing them to human-generated translations. Visualization plots. Visualization plot 1. Explain in detail attention maps. Visualize the model's attention during inference, highlighting which parts of the input are most relevant for generating the output. Visualization plot 2. Explain in detail embedding visualization. Illustrate the model's semantic understanding by visualizing the relationships between different input tokens and their embeddings. Fine-tune parameters. Parameter 1. Explain in detail learning rate. Controls the step size for updating the model's parameters during training. Parameter 2. Explain in detail batch size. Determines the number of training examples processed in each iteration. Uncertainty methods. Uncertainty method 1. Explain in detail Monte Carlo dropout. Introduces randomness during inference to estimate the model's uncertainty about its predictions. Challenges and fixes. Challenge 1. Explain in detail limited data availability. Training a large language model requires vast amounts of data. Sample use case that resulted in challenge 1. groq's training data might be insufficient to accurately address certain niche topics or handle complex conversational scenarios. Fixes to challenge 1. Data augmentation techniques can be employed to create synthetic data. Expanding the training dataset. Transfer learning can leverage pre-trained models trained on larger datasets to improve groq's performance. Challenge 2. Explain in detail hardware constraints. groq's hardware is specialized for certain types of computation. Sample use case that resulted in challenge 2. Some tasks, such as image or audio processing, may not be as efficiently handled by groq compared to other hardware. Fixes to challenge 2. Model architecture optimization. Explore model architectures specifically tailored for efficient processing on groq hardware. Offloading. Consider offloading certain computational tasks to other hardware platforms better suited for the specific task. Challenge 3. Explain in detail potential for bias. Large language models can inherit biases present in their training data. Sample use case that resulted in challenge 3. groq's responses might exhibit biases related to gender, race, or other sensitive topics. Fixes to challenge 3. Data. The biasing techniques can be applied to mitigate biases during training. Model evaluations and monitoring actively assess the model's outputs for signs of bias and implement mechanisms to mitigate it. Challenge 4. Explain in detail misinformation and hallucination. Large language models may generate inaccurate or fabricated information. Sample use case that resulted in challenge 4. groq might provide incorrect answers to specific questions or generate text that doesn't align with factual information. Fixes to challenge 4. Factual grounding. Train the model on datasets containing accurate and verified information. Fact-checking. Integrate mechanisms to verify the accuracy of the model's responses using external knowledge sources.